Hit subscribe to the DIY Writer to support your hardworking authors and also lessen your chances of ending up as a victim in their next book. The world's largest UFO conference, Contact in the Desert, announces the launch of their 8th annual and very first virtual event. This event is focusing on UFOs and the year of science, also consciousness and the future. This will be held June 24th to 28th, 2021. Contact in the Desert is renowned for its top lineup of experts in the fields of ufology, forbidden archaeology, government disclosure, alien phenomenon, crop circles, and much more. Contact in the Desert already is the largest UFO conference in history and will now be the largest UFO conference in the virtual world, with over 60 lectures, 40 workshops, 11 panels, featured speakers presentations, virtual tours to Giant Rock, and other interactive events. Go to contactinthedesert.com for more information and get your tickets now. This is Jeff Bacon with the DIY Writer Podcast. Today we have Jason DeGray. Jason DeGray has recently released the book Eve, which we're going to talk about first. Then we're going to talk about a few other things that may be of interest, may not. Who knows? Stay tuned to find out. Jason, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Jeff. Thank you for having me.
Good. I think it was interesting when I was trying to do the introduction. There was this little fly just kind of like, but anyway. So anybody who's watching the video, that's just me trying to get a bug. But anyway. So how are you doing today again? Good?
Yeah. It's been great. Yeah.
So what's sad about this is that we started talking about Eve and it's like, hey, we're not recording. So, and you said it's going to be hard for you to recreate that magic, but I don't believe you. I think you're fibbing to me, sir. So let's talk about Eve.
Okay. Let's do that. So Eve is my latest book, and it is a story that a genre that's close to my heart, with the cyberpunk genre. I've always loved the cyberpunk genre. I mean, it's always been one of my go-tos. I will consume anything cyberpunk, from Philip K. Dick to William Gibson to Johnny Mnemonic to Ghost in the Shell. I mean, it doesn't matter. I'll eat it up as long as it's cyberpunk. And so I sat out and I thought, well, hey, I want to write a cyberpunk novel. And so
can I ask you a question real quick? What is it about cyberpunk that you like? I mean, what really draws you into it?
Honestly, it was the dystopian aspect of it, because, whenever I was growing up, and I was a teenager in the 90s, and this is really when the cyberpunk was really starting to hit the scene, right? And they were really pushing this punk aspect of it, right? This middle fingers to the machine type of thing, to destroy the system and look at what the system has done to us. And so now we're going to fight back against it. We're going to use the technology that the system is used to oppress us, and we're going to use it to fight back, and we're going to use it to liberate ourselves. And to me, this was always the idea of cyberpunk that I really loved. And that I could see, as far as like possible futures go, futurist type thinking, this could really happen. This idea of these mega corporations taking over these, and the oppressive technology and the huge class disparity and things like that. And and then, like I said, the punk element throughout all of that is, that you had these, this faction of people that were always fighting. They were always resisting that oppression, no matter what form that took. And so that is what inspired me, I guess, as far as cyberpunk is concerned.
Okay, cool. Very cool. So then you wrote Eve.
Yeah, and so I wrote Eve, and I wanted, like I said, I wanted to write a cyberpunk novel, and so I started writing Eve. And as I started writing, it morphed into something that I can only describe as weird fiction. One of my readers commented, and she said, "Oh, I love that you wrote this." She called it post-apocalyptic noir, and it just kind of blew my mind. I'd never heard of that, and I was like, "Cool, I'm using that." And so And so, that's really what I call it now, is a post-apocalyptic noir. But yeah, so it started out, so it has these cyberpunk elements, and it's really built around this cyberpunk dystopia and this city like that. But like I said, as the story started growing, then all of this other stuff started coming into play that normally you wouldn't see in cyberpunk trope type of things. So it kind of goes outside the genre a little bit. But yeah, so this is uh, my favorite project to date. Actually, this is the book I love the best right now that I've written.
Okay. So how does it kind of go outside the genre? I didn't quite pick up on. You said it goes outside, but how does it?
Well, okay, so uh, for instance, I started exploring the this dichotomy of technology versus nature, right? And I had this idea that, okay, well, if you have these people basically shut inside this walled city, high technology city, and have shut out the outside world because they've um, strip mined and fracked it into oblivion. And so, but what's out there? What's outside there? What would be left of nature? And most of the cyberpunk stuff gets into like this wasteland type of stuff that's outside the cities, right? And there was this aspect of that, but it's again, you can't, I don't think, kill nature in that regard. So I started exploring the idea of these what I call in the book hearts. And these hearts are these small like groves, these small forests, natural forests that have dotted the earth amidst all of this disaster, right? That are just waiting to expand, and how the corporate cities have their citizens and their denizens and stuff like that. Well, the hearts have their people that live there, and these people are people that are regressing, that are going back in the other direction towards barbarism, in a way, and going back in tune with the whole natural cycle of thing, waiting for the great cycle to restart, and for the earth to start regrowing,
Mhm.
and all this kind of stuff. So like I said, so it deviates from like those strict cyberpunk tropes, and I start exploring other aspects. I used a lot of Templar mythology in the
Oh,
book.
really?
Yes, the Knights Templar, and was a huge theme that is run through the undercurrent of the book. The main bad guy, Baphomet, uh, is a talking head that predicts the future. Which, again, if you know the Templar stuff, is what they were accused of,
Right.
talking to a severed head that told them the future and things like that. And so, that's something that I've woven into the narrative as well. And there were nods to classic books like Alice in Wonderland, and things like this. So yeah, I again, I can only describe it as weird fiction. It grew and it developed into this interesting narrative that I wasn't expecting at the outset.
I think the Templar history is so interesting. Just from the fact that, I mean, there's a organization that basically, everybody owed money to, and they decided, you know what, we're just going to go ahead and not pay them. Not only that, but we're going to destroy them because, what, we owe money. What the heck?
Right. And that is actually, yeah, very close to the truth. I think too. Yeah, it's like, ooh, we cannot pay this debt, so we'll just wipe them out.
Yeah,
You know what? They're heretics.
right, right.
Isn't that right, Pope? Oh yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely. Yep. Yep. We
yeah.
need to. Yep. You bet. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, let's take their money, and yeah, and just destroy everything they've done. And while I was writing Eve, and looking into this Templar stuff, I'd come to it, and it wasn't too long ago that the Catholic Church had come out with an announcement. There's this proclamation saying that maybe they had been too hard on their persecution of the Templars.
I didn't know that. Did they really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Huh, go figure.
Yeah,
Go
that's weird.
figure. Yeah. Yeah, that is very interesting, go figure. Yeah. Yeah. Almost like it was staged from the,
Almost like it's
the
staged. Yeah,
yeah.
maybe we shouldn't have made up a whole bunch of crap. Yeah, there you go.
Right. Right. Well, hey, that's that you got to demonize your enemies, man. You got to get the public on your side. So, that's the way to do it. And back then, that was it. I mean, that was it.
Literally demonizing
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
nobody does it better than the Catholic Church.
True. True. And they're
Yeah,
still.
they are very good at scaring the crap out of you, and then also making sure that you feel guilty about every damn thing that goes through your head, and then demonizing you for it. Yes.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And they achieved such a mastery at this that during the Middle Ages, the zeitgeist of the Middle Ages was obsessed with sin and afterlife. And this is the kind of stuff that came up in all of the art and literature that was coming out at the time, was like this obsession that the people had with this, like I said, with perdition and sin and and things like that, that have just have it hammered into their into their head for centuries by the
Mhm.
Catholic Church, to where yeah, that they were literally afraid of this stuff, so afraid of it that it left them vulnerable to things like that we found in Chaucer's Canterbury Tales with the summoner and the pardoner. On the one hand, you'd have this dude going around pardoning people's sins for a fee, and the exact opposite of that was the summoner, who would go to people's houses and bang on their doors and be like, hey, you've sinned, you owe us $20.
Right.
you know and and they did, and people would just give their money over to it like that. I mean, so they had very big influence, I think, on on the zeitgeist of that time, and which is why it took so long for for it to start to lose its grip, but and why it really still hasn't, I don't think.
Well, money is the root of all evil. That's why you must give it to the Catholic Church so they can take care of it.
Right. Right. Exactly. What? Yeah. 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 It is the root of all evil. So they're the ones that handle evil. So
Yep, they need to put it in a little place, right? Just this little basement they have right below the Vatican. That way they can keep you from your money, which is the root of all evil. Yes,
right. Right. Don't worry about it. They're keeping evil contained.
they
That's.
are. They do a good job of containing evil.
Oh no.
Yeah, I know. Who thought we'd get into bashing them, but that's
I
okay.
know. Right.
The thing I like and I also dislike about dystopian um, writings, I guess, basically, is that a lot of the ideas and a lot of the things that are written about on how society progresses, whether it's post-apocalyptic or even pre-apocalyptic, there's a lot of tendencies for people to take that type of writing and actually apply it to current events and what's happening. And what's sad about that is that you know a good piece of fiction can also all of a sudden become prophecy. It's interesting, and I always kind of wonder, okay, chicken or egg? Did the big bads in society today actually get all these ideas from literature, or did writers just kind of realize what's going on?
Well, that both. To some degree, it always has to be both. I mean, because that great literature that like that you said was moving over into the realm of all of a sudden it's prophecy. I mean, these were authors that were really in tune with things like human nature, and the zeitgeist of their day, and that could predict the patterns, right? And if this trend continues along this line, this is inevitable. This is most likely how it's going to end up. Let's follow this trend to its conclusion. And so that's what great that the great literature like that does. And so that's why. But again, it's a study in human nature first and foremost, right? Because you have to understand how people are. You have to understand that we have 6,000 some odd years of recorded history, right? And in all of that time, the only thing that has changed is fashion and technology. People are still exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
We're thinking the same, saying the same things, telling the same jokes. I mean, so we really haven't changed. I mean, so that's so you study human nature and you get in touch with those patterns, and you can start to understand where the trends come. And I think that the big baddies that use this for uh, not necessarily inspiration, but contingencies. Well, what do we do to keep it from getting here? What if this is the end of the road? Okay, well, how do we shift that? How do we change that? How can we manipulate things now to make sure that that doesn't end up like that? I mean, because even those guys in their think tanks, I mean, that's what they're doing. They're plugging situations into AI algorithms and spitting out all the possible conclusions, right? I mean, so it's the same thing as like I said, us telling stories, but telling them in a way that comes from that understanding of human nature first, and the zeitgeist, the spirit of the day, where humanity is collectively, at any given time in history. So I think, yeah, that it is both.
My hope is that those AI computers are not running on Alexa's technology because she sucks.
No, man, Alexa's the
Alexa, what
Trojan
should we do
horse.
today? I don't know. Let me go kiss Bezos's butt while he's still in charge. Yeah.
Right. No, Alexa is she's the Trojan horse. They just
I
want you to they just want you to
she
they just
never
want you
answers. I always ask her if she's does she work for the CIA, and she will never answer me truthfully.
right, it's
She's very
exactly.
evasive.
Yeah, she is, and she's always listening. She's not allowed in my house, but she's always listening. But yeah. No, she is. She's definitely the Trojan horse. They want you to think AI is that benign.
Yeah. So what I think is really funny is that we have one in our house in the kitchen, and I talk to her often. Um, just for whoever's listening to me, I want them to be entertained somewhat. But every now and then there'll be nothing going on, and she'll say, "I'm sorry, I didn't understand that." It's like nobody said anything. What the hell? I mean,
Right.
it's just weird. Or else, you'll say something and it does not have the keyword Alexa in it. And all of a sudden you see that green ring going around like it's listening for something. And it's like, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Is the
No thanks.
CIA really interested in what I put in my chocolate chip cookies? I mean, seriously? Shut up.
Yeah, no thanks, man. No thanks.
Yeah.
No, no, not in my house. Smartphones are bad enough.
Yeah, they are. But on the other hand, I figure somebody's going to drag something into the house anyway. They've got all these, Kindle pads and everything else. What I do think is funny is that there's 4 devices that when I say Alexa really loud, they all go off. And it's like, you're all freaking listening to me. Really? Those damn devices listen to me more than my family does.
Right. It's like that's probably true. Yeah. And they could probably repeat what you said verbatim.
Pretty much, if I named one of my kids Alexa, I
Yeah,
guarantee she'd be the only Alexa in the house that didn't listen to me.
that's hilarious.
It's true. That's why it's hilarious. It's like, holy crap. What'd you say, Dad? Ask Alexa, the other one. She'll tell you.
Right. Yeah, she knows.
Yeah. What'd Dad say? Pick up your room. Anyway, yeah. I'm waiting for the day that Alexa goes, I'm sorry, police have been dispersed to your location. Just wait there
Right,
on your knees with your hands interlaced behind your back.
right, right. Exactly. Or the Philip K. Dick um, wrote. Shoot, I think it was in We Can Remember It For You Wholesale, the Total Recall, where his smart house. They all lived in smart houses in that story, and his door, you had to pay to get your door to open, and he didn't have any money left. The main character didn't have any money left, so he literally could not leave his house because he did not have the money to pay to open his door, and he was calling everybody he knew to try to get him to come over and open his door. And, and I, and I said, yeah, yeah, that's how it's going to be.
At
That's
some
how
point
it's
in
going to
time.
be. Yeah, yeah. You violated the terms and conditions.
Hmm.
You've been secured for your own safety. Please. Yeah, yeah.
I honestly think if anybody thinks corporations can do a really good job at running things, just reference the Umbrella Corporation and what they did to in that series.
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, shining example.
They're the good guys, not.
Right, right. Exactly, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Everybody's good on with the front face. Everybody's good. Yeah. This
Right.
is all. This is all for your benefit.
Well, all that crap really works out well in a spreadsheet, but when you apply it to real life, sometimes it goes a little awry. And
Right.
then you have a zombie apocalypse, whatever.
Right. Right. Again, you start. It looks great on paper, but you start entering the human factor in these things, and then just the natural chaos element in the universe itself. Yeah, I mean, what you have on paper is, it's
Well, and that's the problem I have with AI. So if you're writing an AI program or you're dealing with an AI program, it's going to be set by a certain amount of rules, and then it's going to learn certain things. So I mean, it is going to be self-growing. But on the other hand, human beings in their essence are able to actually handle a certain amount of chaos, depending on who you're at, and deal with it and kind of sort it out and figure out, okay, step A, step B, step C. Okay, now chaos is gone.
right.
Whereas AI isn't going to have that rationalization type ability, and it's going to just see it as a problem and try and eliminate it at some point in time, kind of like a virus program.
Right. Like Skynet.
Yeah, something like that. You're the problem. We just need to get you out of here. It's like, yay, And so when you look at these books, like like you said, you have Eve and a lot of other cyberpunk type programs where technology is actually playing a role as the either facilitator or the actual bad guy. It's not that far away from what the reality could be in 2-3 years from now.
Yeah, exactly. And in Eve, I had kind of mentioned this. I had brought this up as part of the world itself. Where it was at the time was no longer allowed to use AI because in the past they it had gotten to that point, and there was this great conflict where it was basically corporations using each other's AI against themselves, which really tore up and really nuked the planet at the end of that thing. And so whenever they were looking around at the fallout and all that stuff of what they had done, that's whenever they were like, okay, well, we can't use AI anymore. There can be no artificial intelligence, as such, because it can't be trusted. And that's something that is I consider quite often is that fact, and the fact that people do seem to be putting so much faith into this this machine. And you said yourself, it was programmed, it was given limitations, and it was programmed by something that was imperfect to begin with. So how perfect then could something like that really be? And how perfect and trustworthy can its responses really be whenever, as like I said, it was created by something imperfect to begin with. I mean, so there is going to be a descending octave in that regard. I mean, everything is going to become its opposite, and this stuff that we have uh, uh, signed on to save us and move us into the next phase of humanity, I think eventually will come back, and it will become what it was never intended to be. And I mean, that's again, that's just nature. That's just the pattern. That's just part of the cycle.
Think about this, and I'm gonna make a Christian reference to it, but you can really tie it back to just about any kind of religion that's ever existed on earth. Okay. But there's a certain amount of wisdom that's been passed down from generation to generation that has always talked about how perfection cannot stand and will try and root out any imperfection, whether you call it sin, whether you call it whatever. So look at Noah's flood. Oh, we have to wipe everybody out because they're sinning too much. Look at other religions where a volcano will blow up and it's like, well, they did that because the gods were angry with us, or the loss of Atlantis, or any type of religion has that one devastating thing that happened. 10,000 BC, evidently, everything was wiped out and we had to start over, type thing. And it's always based on the theory that some perfect being, whether it be computerized, whether it be a deity, whether it be whatever, cannot stand imperfection. So the only thing that can really handle imperfection is something that's not perfect, because something that's perfect really can't deal with it. So AI, good or bad? I don't know. I don't think it should run the rest of our lives, because I think humans are more apt to be able to deal with chaos and imperfection than something that really needs to, it's going to try and alleviate it. There is no such thing as perfection.
Right. Right. Yeah. 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 Exactly. And well, and also interesting that those stories that you mentioned. I mean, each of the societies in those stories had reached a certain peak. They had reached, almost like they had gone as high as they could go at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing left for them to do would be to collapse. Would be to fall. I mean, and Atlantis, as an example. Like the story of Noah and the flood, like the story of Mu, and all these other places. I mean, these societies were highly advanced, but they were also highly, I guess what's the word I'm looking for?
They became decadent. They
Yeah,
became,
decadent. Yeah,
it was a level of self-actualization that gave them some sort of a higher purpose in their own minds, which really made them more of a deviant than anything,
right.
and created a downfall in the society that they worked so hard to build.
Right. Exactly, exactly. And so, they were no longer advancing. They were reaching a point of entropy. And so there had to be some kind of outside force that came in and said, nope, we're shaking this up. We're starting this whole thing over again. I mean, because given enough time, it would have reached, I think, complete entropy, and nothing would have happened, and the species would have died out, already. So, there has to be these times in history whenever these outside forces come in and shake things up a bit, get things moving to destroy that encroaching entropy, and to make sure that that doesn't happen. And so, that's that's what I think of whenever I think of where AI is taking us. Like I said, it can only go so far before eventually it's going to start degrading and falling off and becoming its opposite. And when that happens, um, you know, is that going to be it? Are we going to be set up for another one of those type of experiences? A flood story, for lack of a better word. Something like that coming on then. But yeah, very good point.
I when I look at society and what we've gone through in the last year, I think it's really funny how people have acclimated to not talk to each other anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
You
I
know,
mean, yeah, yeah. You know, it is. But you know, that's something that we were already being acclimated towards. You know, I mean, uh, the breaking up of the community and things like that, right? To where you're more concerned about with what's going on in your home and what's going on your devices, than what's going on in, you know, the community around you, the people that you're actually living around and with, right? I mean, and so we've separated each other. So we were already being acclimated towards that, and you know, and this was a an easy step, I think, you know, in that whole process, and you know, and then it didn't take much. I've already seen memes out there that says, you know, I don't care what the CDC says, I want my 6 feet indefinitely, you know, type of thing. I mean, and so, you know, that's the mentality that people already have, uh, on a, you know, on you know, some level or another. You know, it's already out there, and you know, I'm interested to see what happens as things start to loosen up as well. You know, I'm wondering what's going, you know, what's going to happen. Are we going to start coming back to community? You know, start looking around and being like, oh, hey, man, I haven't seen you in a year. Like, come on over, let's have a barbecue, or you know, or what? Are we just going to sit here? You know, on the phones, looking at, keeping up with what's on Facebook, or you know, or whatever, because you know you know, that's our world now. You know,
yep.
it's uh, interesting. I'm interested to see where that's going to come. Uh, but yeah, it is unsettling, I think.
I think you're going to have two divisive groups. I think you're going to have the groups of people that just say, you know, screw it, things are back to normal. And then you're going to have the other group who are going to be very, you know, reclusive. You know, they're the ones that are going to be stepping back in the aisles of the store if they go to the store, if they don't continue just, you know, buying their stuff online and having it delivered and, you know, whatever. I mean, there's some people that you may never see again.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah. That could very well be. Yeah, yeah. Well, it's already splitting up like that.
Yep.
So yeah, yeah. Wow.
I think what's very interesting is that the people that are going to be reclusive and are not going to be able to, you know, for one reason or another, jump back into society are going to be the ones that are going to rely on the electronic devices and everything to live their life. You know, that's how they're going to get their food. That's how they're going to pay their bills. That's going to how they're, you know, it's going to be everything that they do is going to be around those devices. And that's where like an AI type thing was going to take hold.
Right, right. And yeah, yeah. You know, exactly. I mean, and that, and it will have taken a hold in a way that they're not going to be able to escape. I mean, already, how do you get away from these things? You know, how do you get away from what's happening already with just how tied we are to these things, and you know, and these devices and the technology and stuff like that. Yeah, so we're already in a hard place. How do we get away from it, and get back to what we want to think of as, you know, this is the world I remember living in. You know, this was a lot better. You know, let's do that. Let's go back to that. You know, I mean, so you know, how, you know, how do we do that? You know, without that, you know, especially if, you know, you have the umbrella corporations and stuff like that. You know, slowly pulling away. You know, and you know, and making all that stuff different. Oh well. You know what? You can't go to Walmart anymore because it's all automated now, and you
Mm-hmm.
can just, you know, it'll deliver to your house by drone. But you know, that's, you can drive down there and pick it up. That's your choice. You know, drone delivery or pick it up. You know, but you can't go in and shop. You know, because
Right.
you know, everything is automated. I mean, and they're all, it's already moving moving in that direction, which which leads me to one of my biggest, like, what's coming up as far as like my futurism type of stuff goes, is this uh, rise in automation, right? Already we can automate what like most of the menial jobs that are out there right now. We do not need people to do them. I mean, at all. And so, and we're talking, from grocery stores to farming. I mean, no people. We don't really need people. They're already working on rolling out self-driving trucks and things like that. So this
Mhm.
is coming soon. I mean, so what's going to happen then to all those people that suddenly are, for lack of a better term, useless at that point? There is no work for them to do. What's going to happen to what, 30, 40%, 50% of the population whenever there's all of a sudden there's nothing to do because machines do it for us. I mean,
At some point in time, the government's going to say, okay, we're going to have to send you to a re-education center and retrain you to be a useful part of society. I mean, that's what they're going to have to do, and whatever that is, but it'll have to be, maybe it's oiling the machines, maybe it's doing this, maybe it's doing that, but at some point in time, they got to figure out how to either limit society so it's not so big, or re-educate people to take on different roles.
Right, right. Well, I mean, but even if you did that, even if you re-educated people to take on certain role, I mean, how many people do you need to oil the machines?
Right.
I mean, you know, that's a handful. So you're still left with millions of people that are just like, man, I'm gonna sit in my cubicle and play video games and get Wendy's DoorDash to my door.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good. I mean, so again, it will have reached this point of almost like of an entropy, of like of where we're not progressing, we're not moving in any direction, that we have just kind of stagnated, and yeah, I wonder, you know,
I always kind of look at, have you ever seen the movie Idiocracy?
yeah.
Kind of thinking that's where we're heading.
Oh my
Used to view it as a comedy, but now I'm looking at like, yeah, that looks like it. Yep.
right. That was a documentary after all.
It
Thanks.
was. Somebody with some very forward thinking wrote that script, and it's like, oh boy.
Right. Right. Oh my gosh. Right. Because electrolytes are what plants crave.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, it's it's already there. It's already there.
It's already there.
Um,
It's already there. There's just so many things that even within the news, that are just said, and it's like, that's not even close to being right. What the did you ever take biology in school?
Right.
Maybe not, but there's so many just stupid things that are happening in society. It's just like, okay, whatever. I give up.
Yep. 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 It's like there's nothing you can do. You'd say, well, okay. I mean, I guess it's like people really are just okay. We're reaching a point where it's yeah, live the delusion, live whatever delusion that you want, and it doesn't matter. People can't tell you any different. You can't uh, you know you can't tell me that what I got going on in my head isn't real. And and if you do, well, you're a jerk.
Right. You are
I'm gonna
wrong.
right.
You are wrong, sir.
Right. I'm gonna tell all my friends, and then we're gonna get on your social media account and shred you.
Yeah. Yeah, please do. Yeah.
Right. It's that's where we're yeah, that's the world that we're living in, and it baffles me every day, man. I look at it, and every day is something new, and so just like, wow, like how could you, how?
Well, look at how many people don't know how to grow a tomato,
Right.
or don't understand how certain things go together. They buy all their food at pre-made at a store. It comes in a can. All these different things. And if something really devastating happened, like we just had this in the pipeline going down because of hackers, and I mean, so they've shown that our distribution lines are very susceptible to being hacked basically and being shut down and held ransom. Take a food distribution line and put in food shortages, or right now there's a big deal because the COVID spiked in India and it shut down production of microchips that are in just about everything. So whether it be tractors for the farmers or wash machines, ovens, stoves, refrigerators, all that stuff right now is very hard to get because those chips are not being made in India right now.
Mm.
And you see all of that type of stuff. So, I mean, somebody who doesn't understand how basic refrigeration can possibly work, how are you going to store your food? How are you going to do this? How are you going to do that? Okay. Maybe read Laura Ingalls Wilder or something like that and figure it out for yourself. I don't know. But a lot of these people are going to be stuck when this type of stuff happens. And so when you look at a cyberpunk type, publication where they're fighting the machine and everything else, it's not hard to come to the conclusion that all of this stuff could be controlled by some sort of a machine or another at some point in time. Put in AI to guard against, hackers. And this and that, we're doing it for the protection of the United States or the world, blah 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 blah, and all of a sudden that AI or those people running that computer system become very, very powerful, and all of a sudden power corrupts.
Absolutely.
And, your hope is that some group of punks will be able to hack through it and just beat the hell out of them, just like in your books, but that may not happen. So the world's a scarier place than we write.
Right. It really is, because I think one of the greatest ironies of the world, of reality, is that we got all the supervillains and none of the superheroes.
Right.
Like, what kind of crap is that?
Uh-huh. They're supposed to be balanced, damn it.
Right. How does this even work? This is ridiculous.
Right. There isn't supposed to be a world full of villains. There's supposed to be one guy that beats them all the time.
I mean, yeah. So, I mean, that, and then apparently that's all we need. So can we just get that one guy?
Yeah. We're still waiting for him.
Right. I mean, come on. Why isn't Elon Musk Batman yet? I mean, what's he doing with his time?
He might be. We just wouldn't know it. He's got to keep that secret identity.
Right.
Elon Musk. There's a guy. I think he's more of a Lex Luthor than he is a Batman.
You're probably right. Yeah. I mean, why on one hand would you be warning everybody against the perils of AI, and then on the other hand being like, oh, well, hey, I'm developing this thing that'll let you sync right up to it.
Uh-huh.
Like, well, but you just said that was a bad idea. There's nothing we can do. It's happening. So,
right.
Yeah, get on or get left.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and I'm like, well, all right, I'm good then. See y'all.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stay here, be human, but yeah, I mean, that's that is probably true. He's more of a Lex Luthor type. Yeah. Well, I mean, that could be just good marketing too. Make you convince people something is inevitable, and then you offer them the solution to it.
Well, I mean, think about this. The guy who's against it develops it, so it must be safe. Because obviously he would have put all the safeguards in to make it better for us, because he is against it right from the beginning.
Right.
That's not a PR firm working on your behalf at all.
No, that's honest and true.
Right, exactly.
It's like everything we see on the internet.
Exactly. I mean, it's all true.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It is to somebody, yeah, to some extent. You're right, but yeah, no, that's yeah, that is very true. That is very true.
It's an interesting world, because if they, I mean, honestly, if they read it, if they read some, if CNN came out with an article that talked about small, miniature dragons flying up the butts of all the politicians and controlling them, if they published something like that, there would be a 49% of the population that would say it's true.
Oh yeah.
Even if they did it as an April Fool's joke, and then a week later they retracted it and said, we're just making it up to see how many of you are really believing our crap. I mean, any news agency, there'll be a certain amount of people that just like, oh, dragons,
I knew it.
Yep. And they'll be going out buying iron underwear,
Right. Right. The dragons are coming for you
just
next.
amazing how many people can't decipher and discern how many, what's bullshit and what's not. But
right.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's a side effect of our information age, I think. I mean, how do you process literally limitless information, and decipher anything whenever, anything that you want is at your fingertips. There's no way to, so it's like arguing with people on social media, right?
Mm-hmm.
In a comment thread, right? And then this person says, I don't believe you. Here's my link to my article that backs up what I'm saying. And then you go out and do a Google search and you post a link that's refuting the article that they came up with. And then they post a link that's refuting that. I mean, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, what you want to be true, it's true. And so, how do you find that discernment? How do you find that, what's actually true, and and what isn't, and and what's just talking heads, like going back and forth at each other. I mean, it's again, very much a product, I think, of the information age, that we're living in. One of the things that was such a great thing at the outset, but that has actually ended up hurting us in the long run, because the technology has outdistanced our psychology. And
Yep. Exactly.
And we're paying the price for that.
Yep. We are paying the price because people stop thinking at some point in time. A lot of people have, and stop, coming up with opinions on their own, and they formulate it based on these three people that they read their articles, or these three sites, or whatever, because they've decided that they're true. And it's like, really? Yeah. That's how bad shit happens in just about every book that you read.
Right.
If you haven't read literature, go back as far as you want to, go right to the most cutting edge thing. This is the way bad shit happens.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. This is why we were supposed to be taught things like critical thinking in school.
So, yeah, let's get rid of ideas, because those are bad. And let's get rid of arguments, because those are bad. It's like, okay, yeah.
Right. Yeah. All you need to know how to do is work your machines.
Right.
That's it.
Yep.
That's it.
It is.
All you really need for that is to know how to read and do 8th grade math. So.
Right. And they even messed that up.
Right.
2 + 2. Give me an estimate. 10. You're right, honey. Good job.
Can you show us how you got there?
Yeah. Show your work. It's like, but what's really interesting is that 4 is wrong.
Right.
Because you're supposed to estimate, dear. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Exactly.
Who the hell has to estimate what 2 + 2 is?
Right.
Well, it's just the basis for this, so you can get into bigger numbers. Like what? 200 + 200? Estimate that. 1,000. All right, great. I hope they're engineering the next bridge I drive over. That'll be great.
Right. Yeah. Well, 200 + 200 is closer to 0 than it is to 1,000. So 200 + 200 is really 0.
Would that be an estimate? I don't know. It's actually probably closer to -50 then. Yeah. Perfect.
Oh, yeah, I can do the maths.
Yeah. There you go. 1,400. Oh, honey, you're so close, but that's good. We'll go ahead and call it that right. Because your process was right. You just had the wrong numbers. Oh, okay. Yeah. Anyway. All righty. Well, we're running up here on 50 minutes for this puppy right now.
All
So,
right.
do you have any closing words for your readers?
Yeah, read my books.
Read
Go
my
check
books.
me out.
Okay.
Yeah. Check me out at jasondegray.com. It's the website. I'm on all the social medias: Facebook, Twitter, MeWe, those types of places.
You're on MeWe.
Yeah, I am.
How's that working out for you?
It's it's all right. It's not
That's enough
Facebook.
said.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
Yeah, about like that.
I thought that was going to be kind of cool, and it just kind of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's social media in general. That's why I'm really trying to, move back towards a website type of thing.
Yeah.
And it'll be putting out updates and stuff like that, out on the site, as opposed to like social media type of thing. So yeah, check it out at there, jasondegray.com.
jasondegray.com will do. All right, and I'll make sure to include those or that link in my show notes when this comes out.
Great, thank you very much.
All righty, with that, I'm going to say this show is at a close. This is Jeff Bacon with the DIY Writer Podcast, telling you have a great day, keep your chin up, and things, even though I always say they're getting better, according to this podcast, they're not. So good luck to you. No, just kidding. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Jeff.
Please hit the subscribe button. I get a bonus for every subscriber, and I only need 1,506 more to become a full-time paid employee. Help me, please.